Hello learners, we are here to announce that we are starting a marathon kind of session focusing for prelims 2025 wherein we'll try to pick up the topics which are very important, relevant, crisp and clear for the prelims. So in today's video we'll learn about Harappan civilization, or also called as your Indus Valley civilization. We very well know before starting history, after studying prehistory part, the proto-history is your Harappan civilization, and the importance of this particular chapter is there in our prelims and as well as mains. So we will see what are the key features or what kind of script or what kind of data we have regarding this, and especially we'll try to focus only on the exam perspective. So generally it is considered that or we got a criticism whenever the outsiders or the historians, when looked upon our culture or our kingdoms or our history, they usually say that we chose violence. But Harappan civilization is such a great or a pride kind of a movement or pride kind of a period wherein there was been advocating only non-violent civilization. And also you combined your Egypt, and also it's very big in size compared to your Egyptian and also your Iranian or Mesopotamian civilization. So we'll start. Before starting or before getting into the actual civilization or IVC or Harappans, we'll understand a timeline. The golden arc, I called it a golden arc because when you try to place your timeline in an arc, you can easily revise or you can easily understand the chronology. First comes your prehistory, which is about your stone ages. You know, your Paleolithic, Chalcolithic, Mesolithic, all that kind of stone age period. After your stone age period comes your proto-history. Proto-history is because you do not have exact evidence of the written form. Yes, we do have a written format, but that has not been deciphered regarding our Harappan civilization. So generally it is considered as your proto-history, and here comes your IVC. After IVC you have Vedic period where your Iron Age is started. So your IVC comes under your Bronze Age. Your Stone Age, your Bronze Age and your Iron Age. After Vedic, it is considered as later Vedic period. Slowly in the society, the Varna system will be getting eradicated, and slowly, step by step, your kind of a discriminatory things start coming in your later Vedic period. Then you will see your rise of Magadhan Empire. Then again you will come in Magadhan Empire, a kingdom or an empire, the Mauryan Empire, where your Ashoka belongs to. Before that, after later Vedic period, exactly before Magadha and later Vedic period, because of all the atrocities or the discriminations, everything happening in the society, your new religion emerges, wherein your Buddhism and Jainism are there in the picture after later Vedic period, and the reason would be because of the societal discriminations happening. And then your Magadhan and then your Mauryans will come in the picture, wherein your Ashokan king belongs to. He is the advocate of Buddhism, we very well know, and related Kalinga war, all such kind of things. After Mauryan will be your post-Mauryan, wherein all the regional empires and everything will happen. When you are studying history, you will study in the subcategories. Then your Guptan period, then will be your post-Guptan period, where rise of Harshavardhana will happen. Then your medieval will start, and also in the south region and all Sangam literature and all such things will happen. But in general perspective, you need to remember that this will be the chronology. In this way, you need to make sure that you're studying the timelines and fill the gaps in between whatever the small regions or small events have happened. So this is a basic framework. So we'll go with Harappan civilization. We'll start over here, and it is roughly considered that it is between your 2600 BC to your 900 BC. And remember, Harappan civilization is not like an empire or a timeline. There are stages for this civilization to happen or to take place, because before the civilization, what was there? It was all the Stone Age people. People are not civilized. In the whole name itself, it is telling that it is civilization. So to start over this, it took some time. So there are three phases. Combine these three phases of your civilization to develop. It is somewhere between your 2600 BCE to your 1900 BC. And also this is also called as your Bronze Age. Your Harappan civilization because of the site name Harappa. Indus Valley civilization because this civilization was been developed on the banks of your river Indus. So the civilization is also called as Harappan civilization and also Indus Valley civilization. And the time period is this, and it is also called as Bronze Age. And coming to your spread, where and all the civilization was spread, it is part of your modern day India, modern day Pakistan, and some part even in Afghanistan. So these are the three major countries involved in the present day. And it is the contemporary of your Mesopotamian and your Egyptian civilization, and they used to trade with each others. These three were contemporaries. Like in present day, how like US, Russia, India are there, how we are having bilateral relations, how we are trading with each others. In the same way, these three civilizations were contemporary and they were interacting with each others. Advanced technology, urban planning and trade networks. When you compare these three civilizations, you will understand the advancement of technology back then. So what is a chronology? As I told you, it developed between your 2600 to your 1900 BC. So completely didn't happen at once. It happened at the three stages. First is your early Harappan phase, where it started from your 1300 to 2600, where people started slowly settling or coming into place. They understand that, okay, let us all live together. This kind of mindset developed during this period, and this is called your early Harappan, where the village settlement, transition from your village life to your urbanization has started. Then come to your mature stage. This is a peak of your urban development, where proper town planning, proper city plannings, proper administration, everything was set. So in the mature phase is when you will study. We got a lot of artifacts, we got a lot of evidences from this particular period. Then comes your later Harappan, where you'll slowly see that the civilization will get declined. Any civilization, when it reached its peak, definitely the graph should and will go down. Next, so in your later phase, the civilization will get declined. Now, what is the geographical extent? I said that it is part of three modern day countries, like your India, your Pakistan, and your Afghanistan, and it is spanned around your 1.25 million kilometers and covered both these two civilizations combined. That big our IVC was. Egypt plus Mesopotamia. Combined area is your IVC or Harappan civilization. And the key rivers are Indus. As the name says, your Indus Valley civilization, because the whole civilization started on the banks of your river Indus. And the older name, Saraswati River. Now the river we can't kind of map it because it is not there. It is considered by historians that your Gagar and Hakra river together, and back then people used to call as Saraswati and their tributaries. The whole civilization was on the banks of these two rivers. And how did we exactly come to know or get to know about this? Back then, your Cunningham and your Alexander, everybody were also trying to question that there is some kind of thing happened over there. But when in 1921, your Dayaram Sahni sir went and found Harappa, he kind of discovered Harappa and showed it to the rest of the world that we are ready to feel proud, or it's a moment where we need to celebrate that we do have civilization. Because in your prehistory part, if you remember, if your anthropology, if you studied in anthropology, it says that only few artifacts like your shivalids or some kind, let us not go into the terms, but only 2 or 3 artifacts or 2 or 3 fossils are associated with India, and that too they are considered, what do you say, controversy. Still the research is going on. They're all considered to your Africa, your Neanderthals coming to your Europe. There are no fossil founds, but the whole big civilization is found in India itself or in the lands of India. That was a very proud movement in 1921. And in your 1922, R.D. Banerjee sir has excavated your Mohenjo-daro. So Harappa, Mohenjo-daro together called, because the whole, though the whole site is very big, these two were the important and the priority or the firstly founded sites by these two archaeologists. Next, now we will see the features, key features. What are the important features of this civilization? Definitely we know when people are settling or trying to build city, there will be one kind of a systematic approach to run the administration or even to rule the people. We will go into the administration whether they are politically assigned like what we are currently following, everything we will study. But firstly, the most impressive thing which is there about the civilization is your urban planning. So we'll try to understand the urban planning of the civilization. Coming to your city layouts, they were there in your grid-like patterns. If you see, there are grid-like patterns. They are not very zigzag. They are properly laid out. This properly gridded. So cities were laid out of your systematic grid pattern where your streets were been intersecting at your right angles. That's all. It was not laid here and there. The proper urban planning was there. Coming to your cities, it's considered that it's an egalitarian society, but for some reason there was a citadel at the top. There was a citadel at the top and the lower town was there. The town was here at the lower. So this kind of social stratification was present, but mostly people were egalitarian. So the city was divided into two distinct areas. One, the citadel, which is at the elevated area where the administrative, it is considered that administrative or religious purposely they have built the citadel. And coming to your lower town where your commercial areas or the common people used to stay. So this is the layout, and this was like a grid-like pattern of the cities. This, see, though it's a controversy again, it is considered that civilization or the IVC is considered the egalitarian society. But why this kind of division? Why there has to be at the lower part? Means maybe for an administrative purpose or maybe for some kind of a religious purpose. See, whatever facts or whatever data we have regarding IVC, it is all been predicted by, or it has all been understood only by some kind of evidences, which is your artifacts and all, and inscriptions also we found it, but we couldn't decipher. So once we decipher, we may more betterly understand the IVC. But to whatever data we have, this is the format of the cities. Next, and also they have a proper drainage system. The underground drains. The drains were not like above the city or on the road blocks or something like that, but they were underground drains where the flow of the sewage would happen. And generally these are bricks and stone slabs which are connected to houses and public baths. Like the houses, suppose this is the sewage, this is an house. From here, then here, this all used to flow down and get collected at one point, which today we called it as a reservoir. But that good, the waste water management was there. And through a network, and this drain, whatever the collected drain was there, it used to go and get collected in the cesspit, which is outside the city. That means they are very aware of the disease spread because of contaminated water or dirty water. This shows that there is a proper organized governance and there was a periodic maintenance. Periodic maintenance is very important to run the city. And what are the materials built with? They are built with your burnt bricks, and also these bricks were in very standardized dimensions. They maintained weights and measures very properly. Now how the kgs and liters and kilos, that kind of weight system is there, that proper dimensions they used to have, and every brick was having a standard dimension, showcasing the technical standardization. And also there were mud bricks in non-urban structures. So there were villages, there were civilization. Generally the rural part and the urban part together called a civilization. This civilization stood out because there was proper urban or cities developed. This is the first city of India. Remember, so in non-urban sites there were mud bricks, and the urban sites you got your burnt bricks. So how we understood waste management? So there were presence of wells in the houses and public areas with advanced water storage where they used to harvest the rainwater systems. This rainwater system we got evidenced, or this rainwater system we can see evidently in a site called Dholavira. In the coming videos or in the coming classes, we'll try to understand the maps, major sites and their locations, and what are the important artifacts or what kind of evidence we got. We'll understand, but we'll understand in this class firstly what are the key features or what is the important features we need to understand or we need to know when we hear about IVC. And also public buildings were there, like your Great Bath, which was found in Mohenjo-daro, where it used to take the religious or ceremonial bathing should happen. If we see in today's time, outside a temple, there will be a small pond where you go take the ceremonial or religious activities, try to dip yourself and it's like kind of a holy bath, and then you enter a temple. In the same way, there were public bathing spots also. This was found in your Mohenjo-daro site. I told you R.D. Banerjee sir was the first one who found the site. Then there were also granaries where the food used to get stored and traded whenever there was surplus grains. So the storage, that means they were aware of your food surplus, food management and food distribution. This kind of concepts in today's world or in today's days, it's become very complex to implement or to maintain such kind of things. Back then, they have a proper mechanism to make sure that there is no drought-like situation happening. And your residential architectures were all uniformly constructed, where they used to have your courtyards, wells and bathing platforms. And there were also few evidences of multi-storied buildings where maybe some kind of a upper middle class or a richer class used to stay, and these buildings were good and well ventilated. So this kind of a varied sizes of the house shows the social stratification, but mostly it is considered as egalitarian because everybody used to have one same kind of same kind of houses or the same structure, but the size varied, and even the burial sites also, the size of the burial grounds also used to vary, maybe because it can be predicted, maybe because in that particular family or in that particular settlement of the house there used to be lot of people, or it can also be considered that some kind of social stratification was there. We do not know until we decipher the script. As I told, the script, what is the nature of the script? This is a very good evidence. If you see in today's world, they're all very pictographically there. On the seals, we found on seals also this kind of script was been inscribed. See. And for every word, they used to have some kind of, animal presence. Yeah, so this is the script. So what do we know? That firstly, it is pictographic in nature. It's not like written. It's not like calligraphic or whatever. Not like this, but it's pictographically written, and mostly those pictographs used to resemble your objects, your animals and geometric shapes. Also, there were syllables. Like your exact nature, we do not know, represented a word or a syllable. We do not know what kind of that pictograph or that logo is symbolizing. We still don't know because we couldn't decipher it. And total unknown symbols are around 400 to 500, and they are not even matching your contemporaries also, what were there in the Iran and your Egypt part. And this script or this words were being inscribed on your seals, on your pottery, on your copper tablets, and also even on the tools they were script. Now how do we write or how we try to inscribe on coins or wherever we see on the walls? If we go to historical sites like Golconda Fort or Red Fort or all such kind of forts, or even when we go to caves, we immediately try to write it. So it's a human nature. The same way they also wrote it wherever they wanted to, like your tools and potteries. These were been inscribed also on the steatite seals. Steatite is kind of a material, and sometimes even painted on the pottery. This all we understood because we caught some kind of evidences in the form of your pottery, in the form of the seals, and also copper tablets and all such. See, this is again, we couldn't decipher 400 to 500 words, and it's mainly written from right to left. And also in some kind of scripts it's been understood that they went writing from right to left and again they carried on from here. Some kind of words were like this and some words were like this. So this is called your Boustrophedon style, where alternating right to left and left to right. So it's not like left to right, but it's like this. So definitely it will be very difficult to decipher. And they were likely, these words were used for your administrative or to take your trade records or for your religious inscriptions. These are the three purposes mainly they use this kind of words. And also they found along the images some kind of very imaginary images like your unicorns and bulls. Today we fantasize them. If we fantasize to look at a unicorn, they directly imagined a unicorn and they used to draw unicorn on their seals and all. Unicorn, bulls, and also they indicated the clan or a trade affiliations between any two people or two communities such. So this kind of things, to resemble these kind of things, they use the form of that kind of pictography. And also they shared similarities but no direct connections. They say they were sharing similarities with your Egypt and Mesopotamian, but we do not know or we do not have a direct connection to link. There are some kind of similarities. That is why we could understand little. It's not like we didn't understand little, but there is more to understand. Now, what is the economy? Coming to your trade, they used to trade internally and also they used to trade externally because they were contemporaries of the other civilizations as well. So we found evidence of seals. Now if you find a rupee in China or Pakistan, you automatically know that some Indian citizen or someone came over here, tried to settle. So the seals were founded in the other two contemporary civilizations. And the economy, they were having a proper standardized system for trade and taxation. This shows the proper governance and the knowledge they have regarding the economic activities. And what used to trade? They used to trade in wheat, barley, your cotton, sesame, peas. All such kind of things they used to cultivate and trade them to the other, or also they used to trade internally. Technology and craft. We will see what kind of craft was found in which site and later, but in generally we found bronze tools, beads and pottery. Remember, this is Bronze Age. So whenever asked a question that iron tools were found in IVC, straight away cancel it because Iron Age is not started yet. And your steatite seals. I told you that steatite is a material. It was depicted on animals and scripts and used for trade or religious purpose. This kind of artifacts were found. Look at the beauty. These are the kind of jewelry. Pottery. Till today they are sustaining. Now if you try to construct a bridge, tomorrow directly you will see that the slab is on your head. But this kind of artifacts, this kind of things, even the city, remains were found. That good they were technologically very advanced. Coming to your religion, they did not, we couldn't find any temple, but we could find images like this, where mostly a person or kind of a man was there in between and surrounded by animals. The man is considered as your proto-Shiva and also they worship mother goddesses because we found yoni in lot of artifacts. And sacred animals like bull. We found this kind of remainings or the idols, but we didn't find temple. So suggest religious practices were personal or on the small scale, not at the large scale. And coming to your society, it indicated some kind of division because there is citadel versus lower town, but there is no evidence of king. There was no evidence that on the citadel the king was living. We do not know why they had to do such kind of stratification. So this suggests, the absence of king suggests that there was kind of an oligarchic, means a group of people come together and try to rule, or a collective governance. So coming to your society, they were egalitarian, but some kind of social stratification was seen. We need to understand it more better. Coming to your religious, they worship mother goddess and also some kind of a proto-Shiva, or they call Pashupati like figure, and also some kind of sacred animals. But there were no evidence of temples. So this is all about your economy, religion, social and all. In the coming video or in the coming class, we'll understand the sites and what are the places or which site is important, when was it found and all such. Before that, try to solve these questions which is about your whatever we studied, whatever the content we studied regarding that, and try to answer this. We'll see you in the next class. Thank you.